Hello everyone, I'm Ultima and welcome to today's video. Before we get started though, I would really like to thank everyone for the past, 6 months that I've been doing this, for any amount of interaction that anybody has given. So yeah, thank you to past, present, and future everyone. I appreciate you so much. Thank you. Now, this video is definitely different because I stick to gaming most of the time, but these are going to happen every so often. Might as well. A little different, little variety. So this video was originally streamed on my Twitch, and I have cut out all the boring stuff and pretty much just put in the important stuff. The lore for Ultima, as well as her design and the inspirations. So I do hope you enjoy. Please forgive me, I was quite nervous at the time. I've never divulged my lore for Ultima before, so... And just giving it out to the world for you to see. That's such a big step. But anyway, I'll leave you to it. I hope you enjoy. Right, so... Obviously, in my bio on most of my places, yeah, I guess that works. That's fine. In most places, Ultima is a... What do I write? A crystallized singularity? I think that's pretty much it. She doesn't look like one, though, does she? So... I have been, quote-unquote, working on a story of mine for over a decade now, and it's mostly been character art, so not really a story. There's like a start and an end, and I don't have any substance or middle to it. But anyway, Ultima kind of exists in there, but also not at the same time. When making her lore, I was struggling with whether I did want her in it or not. So she's part of the universe, but not in the story, if that makes sense. And so how... It's like, what is that saying? Well, not really saying. But the whole universe started with a bang. Pretty much, we can go back that far, that story for this. So in the beginning, in my story, there is a great crystal tree. It's not really relevant overly, but it's there. And from there came some gods that were humanoid like, but there was the first god. She does have a name, but to make it less confusing, I'm just going to refer to her as the first god, because otherwise everyone is going to get confused. Maybe less confused later on, but it's fine. So the new god has all the powers of all the things, so she's not very good at them, but she can do them. So she's got, time and space and creation and life and whatever other gods I made for that story. And the elements as well. We've got different ones there. The only one she can't do is fire, but that's fine. But anyway, she went off and she was making new dimensions. She made one at least. But she was experimenting and seeing what she could do. And she designated one as her, dimension where I do my experiments. And in case something went wrong, she didn't make it stable enough that it would continue to exist for very long. She could just leave it and it would disintegrate, pretty much. That is the dimension that is Ultima. So that dimension collapsed, fell into the void, and the void can't crush the gods' power, otherwise the gods just, their stuff couldn't exist. So over time, the singularity began to develop a crystal outer shell kind of deal. Eventually, it found its ways into, I believe I wrote it was the fire god's hands. And because the first god had become a little bit kind of corrupt and greedy over time, she got too infected by the human emotions. She experimented too much. It was, the crystal was stabbed into her chest. And I'll move my arm, which is the hole in Ultima's chest. And, because that is a very violent reaction, and I'll be showing pictures later of my design a bit more, because obviously there is stuff on my back that you can't see that is relevant, kind of, because that's where my tails come from. But yeah, the very, very violent reaction. The vessel of the god started to, well, it was going to implode first, and then outwardly explode afterwards. And she was then thrown into the void, where the vessel is still to this day slowly being technically eaten away by the crystal that was stabbed into her. Now, this version of Ultima isn't real. Kind of. So, the first god ended up being most closely connected to the power of life, I guess, would be the simplest way to put it. And when she was no longer doing that, because she's quote unquote dead, it was passed on to her disciple, who is technically my other self that I use on social media. Her name is Zelsius. I will show a picture of her later, so it will be less confusing, but then it... So anyway, Ultima is, because of the first god's vessel being the original god of life, it has a connection to the new god of life, which is Zelsius. So therefore, the connection between Ultima and Zelsius means Ultima can exist technically in the afterlife, which is a plane that is connected to the Great Tree and the current god of life. I don't know if people are following. Well, there's only one of you here, but I don't know if you're following, but I'll have to make some things that make it a bit more easier to understand. So technically, where Ultima is now, I always say it's the void. It's not. It's the afterlife. Although it's only where she's allowed to exist. This area in particular. Because, well, I didn't figure that part out, I guess. But she's not supposed to get involved with the normal flow of life, power, whatever. Yeah, she's meant to be kept separate. And the Zelsius has her own area, which I technically was gonna have as a background, but it didn't really match. So Zelsius has a beautiful garden kind of Japanese style, but because of all of the the space symbolism and whatnot on Ultima, I didn't think it really worked. So maybe in the future, Ultima will get to show off the garden. Ha ha ha. Spoiling stuff that I hadn't planned to do yet, but you know. Yeah, so I think that's pretty much the lore. Sounds right. Given how Ultima looks, I don't think it would be a problem. So I'll just quickly show off. I'm gonna put my tails back on. Fuck it. So I'll just show off Ultima in full. Although if you go to my socials, which I think you might have, yeah. So this is what she looks like in full. Some of the designs that I'll be showing off are technically old. So getting Ultima to the way she is took a very long time, and now I've remembered one of the other things that I was going to talk about is my journey on even to becoming a VTuber, I guess. That's what I am. But that I kind of already said that. I already kind of thought about being making content, or I guess it originally started from wanting to just post my art. My brother posts his art, so I wanted to make my own persona, I guess, on the internet and post my art for that. But oh, there it is. But I hadn't got around to doing that, and originally I obviously I ended up with this. This is Celsius. Just very white. But I'll have to, this is very early for stuff. So yeah, that's Celsius. That's the one that that is the one that I technically will post my art under, although it's on the same one as all my other stuff anyway. And I initially, oh, thank you. It's very basic and took a very, very long time to decide what I wanted her to look like. It just took so long. I'm gonna be honest. I think I can. There are so many things in front of me. I want this one. I think I can technically zoom in. So originally for, I think, Ultima's design, I was, well, it's not Ultima, I guess it was just my persona in general. I thought of more of a, like a forest spirit. I was thinking a deer. So obviously Ultima has her horns, and Celsius has more like antlers. But Celsius from the very start has always been a kitsune, a nine-tailed fox. And because of her connection to the tree, that's where I went with crystal horns. And yeah, so I originally went with a deer, but it didn't really mesh with what I think I wanted to go with. And then I went to a ginger cat because I used to have one. And then I went back to the deer again. That still didn't work. And then I kind of took a step back and thought about it a bit longer and looked at the kinda like the characters that I like from, like, games and stuff, and then realized that she's already Zelsius is already a fox. That's already what I was gonna be going with. I should be able to minimize this easier. Um, I was already going with a fox, so why couldn't Ultima also be a fox? I mean, I think it just made sense again. Um, so yeah, uh, Ultima's space rifts also started out as crystals instead. Cat deer hybrid. I think I went with a fox deer, actually, sort of thing. I still went with forest spirit esque, but I went with a fox with crystal horns was what I ended up with, which is what Zelsius is, and technically Ultima is. I don't know. She doesn't really have the horns of a deer, but she's merely a crystal that is having fun parading around looking different, I guess. It could be something you'd think, maybe? I don't know. So yeah, so that is uh the art persona I have in Celsius, and so she technically owns the space that I live in, and if I misbehave, she could kick me out. I thought about going really hard into RPing Ultima a lot, but I don't know. So when I was looking at different designs I could do, I think which one is it? This one. This was one of my early ones. And this is before I was really trying to work on perfecting my art. This is like just a basic thing. You can kind of see some of the similarities if I make Ultima a little smaller. Obviously, the legs don't matter. Look alright. You can see, I guess, some similarities in it. I kept the kind of the overall, I guess, the meshy part in the front and the bodysuit part, and I'm always fond of a nice garter on my leg, so I still went with that. And it's maybe hard to see, but she has a crystal in her. Well, it's a little higher up than I would have gone with, but um, so yeah, she has a crystal in her chest. So I was kind of thinking about it there as well. That was the one version. That was kind of this is I think she's technically a different character now in the story, but that's fine. And she would have a second form, which would be this one. Which for this one, it'll be in front of me, which is fine. This one you can see that I actually have because I haven't shut it off yet. I have a space rift on the back, and you can see that I went with the long white hair. It was kind of a cross between Zelsius and doing stuff for Ultima, I guess. And it's a bit different. This one didn't stick with me very well because I mean I made Zelsius, so it obviously stuck with me well enough, I guess. And then eventually, I think this is the first one. Yeah. So this is Ultima in my original kind of design. This one was finished. I don't know when this one was finished. But I did this one a long time ago. And if I can get this to get closer. It's hard to see, but there's a big crystal in her chest, so I added that. Yeah, so this is kind of what I was working with early on. I had to make changes to the design, obviously, to make sure I to make sure I complied with TOS. Oliver might have been fine with TOS anyway, but I wanted to be more safe than sorry. So this was an earlier one. She had long hair then. Well, it was tied up, but and you can see the majority of the design is still there, pretty much. And then this was the character sheet I ended up making in the end. What the hell am I looking at this one? You'll notice, obviously, that there's a bridge between the crystals on her chest. So that was one of the things. And the band on her, for her shorts part, had to be made thicker. But aside from that, this is what she ended up as and what I've done from there. And, oh, thank you! Thank you. I honestly, I spent, I think, it could have been like 3 years, 3 total years of working on getting a design that I liked. It took, I, not an embarrassing long time, but I, every design I came up with, I just wasn't convinced. I didn't feel that that version of that model was me, I guess. And eventually one particular thing, which I will mention later, because I'm going to go through the inspirations for the design a bit. Well, not a bit, a little bit. One thing in particular that I put on, I think towards the end, I did it a certain way. It was almost, you know how like it's just been I don't know, it's overcast, cloudy, cold day, and then the sun just comes out, and you just, I don't know, it doesn't feel dark and grey anymore. It's like, I don't know, I saw her truly for the first time when I put that final touch on, and then I like, yeah, I knew I'd finally seen her. Oh, that was an emotional day, that one though. Finally seeing my design no longer just in my head. It was, yeah, that was a very, very memorable day, that one, I think. Anyway, so those were all of the, well, not all of them, but I don't have all of my early designs. But the one that I'm gonna do now, so in my design creation, what have you, for Ultima, I had inspirations from like the story I was writing, at this quote unquote writing that I was working on at the time. So that influenced some things. I also from time to time struggle with my mental health. I don't want to bring that down, but it's true, you know. Maybe you're not feeling the best and you want to disintegrate and blow away with the wind. That kind of was part of all the rifts, I guess, on her. So the arms and the legs and the back mostly. But then again, I also thought about getting well, maybe not thought about actually getting, but I always liked when people would get the look of full tattoo sleeves of like space and planets and whatnot. I always thought they looked cool. But anyway, let's do this part. So when I was making Ultima, so obviously the parts of the story that influenced are quite prominent. I didn't have a picture of the first god in any of that, so that's um so then I could have explained some of the stuff. I don't think I have it on here at all. She pretty much had brown hair, which Ultima does, and the only notable feature was she had crystals lining her spine. When they blew up, that's when the rift on her back was formed. So yeah, there was nothing that memorable about the first god, but that was a thing. Anyway, so when I was making the design, I would always be looking at. I was playing a lot of different games. Admittedly, they were all gacha games, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. I was having fun. And I got inspired by a number of things, and I did talk about it recently on a video made for YouTube. Two of the inspirations that I had there. So I guess I will go over. I want to go over them now. I'll just start at the top. So this one here didn't pop up because I didn't hit both buttons. So this here it's not that big. If I unlock it and then do this. So this is Changli from Wuthering Waves. The only thing of note from her design that I really took was more her attire than anything else. She has obviously the cutout on her. I don't know, under her boobs, under her booba, there is that cutout that I always liked, and Ultima has a similar one as well, and I believe Chun-Li's back is out as well. I always like an open back on a dress. I find it appealing. I guess that's what I'll go with. So I liked her cool. I'm adjusting the wrong thing. What am I adjusting right now? Oh, that's what I'm adjusting. So I liked her clothing. Yeah. And also she had the red arm part, which I had already been working with my rifts anyway. So that also kind of helped as well. So that was just the thing from Chang-Li. To add to the arm portion, I also had Acheron from Honkai Star Rail. I have to remember the whole name. And most notably, the version of her that looks like this, because there's two of her. I think this might have also helped influence the background choice that I would have, because she takes you to. Well, if she kills you, well, maybe quote unquote kills you, you get sent to the end, and it's kind of just like a nothingness. But obviously, there's the water. There's a water in the background. So I think maybe maybe that happened too. I didn't think about that. Okay, Acheron may have inspired my choice of background and also helped with my rifts. Although I think I just thought it was cool and then thought more of it that it was cool. My tails are kind of inspired by Yai from Genshin Impact. I don't know if I need to say the whole names, but that's fine. It doesn't matter. Um, so when I was unsure about what kind of animal I guess I wanted to go with, so I was going through from deer to cat, back to deer, and then I ended up with fox. Yai is one of my favorite characters, and I like her very much. And she's a sneaky fox lady, and I don't know. I think she might have helped me pick fox as what I wanted to go with. But I always loved that she has tails, but never really shows them. And obviously I can put my tails away because technically they're just an extension of my rift on my back. And so I quite liked that idea for the tails. Retractable tails, and they don't get in the way. Um, Another one from Genshin was Skirk, though I I'm really not sure what parts of Skirk influenced um Ultima's design. I would say the rifts, but I think I'd already decided on that. I'd say attire, but I don't know if I thought more about Chang-Li for that prior, so I don't know what Skirk did, but I'm gonna give her like half credit to the rifts and the attire. Well, then maybe for the rifts I'll actually give her like a quarter credit. I think I was already doing riffs on different characters and designs and stuff prior, but yeah. So Skirk is my favorite in Genshin. So that I think that also helped. But the one that really kind of changed, I didn't change it. I was already doing it anyway. I saw it on the Origin one, the original design of Ultima. Um, she where she had the braids. She already had these style ears, but not quite to this degree. But this last one really influenced how I did it quite a lot, and I think it'll become it will probably be quite evident actually. It's Ting Yun from Star Rail as well. Now, if I were to get rid of the others, and I can probably get Ting Yun a little, make Ting Yun a little bigger. Now, for Ting Yun, it's where's me? Ting Yun in particular, it was probably only the ears. If I'm gonna be honest. I think it was just her ears. Um, Now I love you can kind of see it. Um, so for the longest time, I really struggled to uh put on ears that I think suited Ultima to the degree that I needed them to, and then eventually I thought like, okay, well, what kind of ears do I want? What do I like? Yai has ears that are kind of turned down. And I think those are cute, but it didn't. I don't think it suited. And then I would sit there and I would think and be like, okay, well, when I think of Ultima, what ears do I see on her head? And it was always Ting Yun's ears. So I did eventually decide, well, I'll just draw Ting Yun's ears on her head. And that was the day where I saw her for who she was. that that, clearing sky, the sun's out, kind of feeling. I finally saw Ultima for who she was and who I was searching for, and it was just all thanks to Ting Yun's goddamn ears. That's that's just what I wanted, apparently. I did have concerns that they would be a little too close, so I did have to redesign them a couple times, but that redesigning also made me lose that look that I loved. Uh, so yeah, those were the inspirations for Ultima's design. Obviously, some of her design just comes from my story that I was writing. Well, guys, I hope you enjoyed listening to me yap. Yeah, I hope you had a good time, and if you have anything to say, maybe a question, then please leave a comment. I'd love to hear what you have to say. Like if you enjoyed. And if you want to see more of me, then subscribing is always a good option. If you want to catch me live, my Twitch channel will be linked below in the description. It's to follow on there and have your notifications on, because I don't tend to use social media that much. I'm getting into the mindset maybe, but we'll see. But anyway, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys another time. Bye bye.